Welcome to a sports betting podcast from pregame.com for the week of January 22nd, 2010. I'm your host, RJ Bell. I'm joined by Marco D'Angelo, 30 years in the business, Vegas runner, genuine professional bettor here in Vegas, and star of the CNBC special on gambling. This is segment 5 of 5, and it's going to be our first official basketball game of the season. Now that the championship games of the NFL are soon to be over, and then we're going to have the 2-week break to the Super Bowl, here at pregame.com, we're making money and firing big action on the colleges. And we have one of the best college handicappers in the country this year, and we've got Marco, who's done it for 30 years. Now, we're looking at the Texas-UConn game, and we're taping this on Wednesday, so this is going to be an interesting exercise to discuss the way a handicapper is supposed to look at the game before the line comes out, because the line is not out yet on Saturday's game. Actually, UConn's playing tonight, and that's going to be an X factor in our analysis. So what we're going to do in these instances, Vegas runner, right now, if the game was played today, what is your line on this Texas-Connecticut game?
I make Texas a 4-point road favorite going into Connecticut. Even though Connecticut's 10-1 at home, I make Texas a 4-point favorite.
What do you make it?
I make it 3.5 right now.
All right, so 3.5 right now. Now, what Marco was going to try to jump me on is there is an X factor, and we'll be talking about that, but we have time. So let's talk about the concept of what we just did, which is a good handicapper or a professional, whatever you want to call it, typically is going to make a point spread. There's a lot of ways to pick winners, and one of them is to use pregame pros. Other handicappers out there. We're actually going to be giving a $10 coupon away for pregame pros here in this segment. But if you're handicapping the game yourself, what you want to do is say, what do I think this line should be? And then if the line is off by enough, and let's say 2 points in college, and remember, there's no key numbers really in college basketball. Actually, 2 is a key number, but that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah, it is.
It's a very small key number. Well, I'll tell you guys because it's such a cool little thing. It's because they will miss a field or miss a free throw late in the game purposely because they got to get the rebound and score with like 2 seconds left, that the number 2 falls a little bit more than other random numbers. Now, that's actually an interesting stat, and I have fun with that one. But in general, there's no key numbers. So if you're off by 2 points, so let's say this line comes out at 6, you like the dog.
Exactly.
If the line comes out at pick'em,
I'm all over Texas.
You're all over Texas. So it's not about liking one team or the other. It's about liking the team with the line.
And that's how I start off every day I handicap. Because if once you look at the line, you're human. You're going to be biased. There's no way to be unbiased. And because you got to look at it like it's a market, how do you know if something has value if you haven't set a price? So for me, the first thing I do is set a price and then see what price do they set.
All right. Now, Marco, you were going to make a really good point, which is that we have a big news story with Connecticut. Their coach is taking a medical leave. They have a game tonight, and there's probably going to be an overemphasis on how does this team play tonight, being indicative of how they're going to play without this coach. So what's your thoughts on that?
Well, they've lost 3 in a row going into tonight. If they lose tonight or have a bad performance, because I think they're a 10-point favorite tonight against St. John's.
This is Wednesday now.
Wednesday night. If they don't have a good performance, I see a point to a 1.5 line adjustment come Saturday, which then would make my line 5 on Texas on Saturday if they have a poor performance tonight. And poor performance would be getting upset or only win by 2-3 points.
A couple buckets, yeah, and I agree 100%. Then the line would come up 5 or higher.
It's opportune, I think, that the line is double digits, which really does draw a clear line. If they win this game and cover, or if they win by 8 or 9 but are winning throughout the game, it's going to be a good performance. And if they lose or if it's tight, it's a poor performance.
But what we need to add is that as a handicapper, that shouldn't really change your true line. That'll change your fair line. But one game isn't going to make me adjust all my power ratings.
All right, so let's talk about that. For the newbies out there, the true line is it's going to split the result of the game 50-50. A fair line is it's going to split the betting 50-50.
Right. So
when the fair line and true line is off is where you can get value.
So with my true line being Texas 4, if Connecticut loses tonight, the odds maker may adjust and bring Texas out at 5.5. But that don't necessarily mean that I would adjust my number based on one game's result.
Let's talk about that, because usually the public, and Marco talks about this all the time, overestimates what they've seen most recently.
Right.
But isn't this a case where it might be a big adjustment be valid, and that you haven't seen this team play?
Yeah.
It's like a new quarterback. If a quarterback is playing their first game and they play horribly, maybe rightfully so, people say this guy's going to have trouble in the NFL.
Correct.
And if the guy plays great, it's like, you're going to over-adjust. If it's one performance, if there's only one performance, you've seen 100% of the sample on Wednesday of you calling with this coach. You've got to value it more than a normal game.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm not going to try to rush the judgment.
So you think the public's going to overvalue?
Yeah.
Is that how you see it?
I see it. One thing that I will point out is Coach Calhoun has had health problems the last several years.
It ain't the first time.
The guy that's stepping in tonight has assumed the head coaching role before for Calhoun. So and
that was last season when this team lost in the Final Four, and he coached plenty last year.
One thing that I'm going to say about this game, Texas, from a handicapping standpoint, Texas lost their first game of the season on Monday in a game,
to a conference team.
Kansas State, a good team. But what really was shocking about Texas in that game, their defense was bad in that game. Kansas State had some easy buckets that they just missed assignments. I expect a big effort from Texas to come Saturday.
On the defensive side of the ball.
On the defensive side of the ball. And a little handicapping tidbit, we always talk about when teams lose their first game, how there can be like a carryover, a hangover type effect. You don't see that so much in college basketball compared to football, because a loss doesn't mean anything in college basketball.
Texas is going to the tournament.
Yeah,
they're getting invited to the NCAAs.
And sometimes it's the best thing that can happen.
Refocus them.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so let's do this first, and then we'll jump to Vegas Shriner. Each week, when we do our multiple games on the weekly This Week in Betting podcast, is we have one segment that we don't give official free pick, but we give $10 away in coupons. So, Marco, hit it.
Well, the big thing is it's conference championship week for football, so the coupon's going to be the word conference and the number 10. All one word, the number 10. And you're going to get $10 off. Just go to pregamepros.com. You can check out all the hot cappers. Football, Dwayne Bryant, still smoking. Basketball, Mike Hook, Hookopedia. He's doing it in college basketball, 10-2 last 12, $10. And yes, RJ, if you go to the checkout and you put something in a shopping cart that's only $10, you don't get any money. It's free.
You ever notice that, like, if there's a hot chick that comes on the scene, like Megan Fox, and then initially when everyone was like, who you hot for? It's like Megan Fox. And then a year or two later, she's still as hot, but it's someone else. It's like the Scarlett Johansson you don't hear about as much as you did a couple years ago. Vegas Runner, I think you're like the hot girl that people maybe get tired of. Because
I never get mentioned.
Well, because unless I'm mistaken, you're number 2 right now in documented of all the cappers in the world in college basketball.
The new rankings are out.
Oh, I don't know.
He's number one.
In win percentage and units won.
They didn't bring the new rankings out.
Yeah, in win percentage and units won, which is difficult when you give out 50 games like I do already. No, I'm saying for the season. For the
Believe me, he's told me like 50 times in the last
I'm usually
week.
never going to be number one in win percentage.
But really what matters, clearly, is
units
how much you
won.
make.
Exactly.
Okay, and you make a good point about Mike Cook. They've got to show him and Dan Beebe a daily podcast. You can just go to pregamepodcast.com, in which they spend about 20 to 30 minutes a day breaking down the games. Marco, you're the Thursday guest. I'm the Monday guest. You're the Sunday guest. Guest the rest of the week. All right, good stuff. Now we're going to be grooving into basketball, and we're really going to find something that really helps you guys out with basketball. We're excited about that. Now, that's it for this week. Remember now, on this game too, we got a new feature. Is if you predict the exact score in the comments section, just go to pregame.tv. In basketball, we're giving you $100 of pregame dollars to spend any way you want, and you can make your prediction for free in the comments section. And for those who want to download and listen, you just go to iTunes and search for pregame.com. See you next week.